afternoon, students. So this presentation is basically introduction to STAAD.Pro Connect Edition. So as the presenter, I'm the presenter here. So let me quickly go into the presentation. So you have already knowing about me. My name is Ani Surya Ghosh. I'm from Bentley Systems Kolkata office, working as a senior software quality analyst, structural. So I'll be here to show you the advantages of the STAAD.Pro Connect edition, and also I will show you some live demonstration to start with your problem statement. So you're already knowing about Bentley systems. So Bentley is has its presence everywhere, from building to bridges, transit to utilities, clean energy to clean water. Bentley is advancing infrastructure. So Bentley has a different kind of solutions in different aspect of life. So right now we are only concentrating on the structural domain. So I hope you are familiar with STAAD.Pro. So STAAD.Pro is a comprehensive and integrated analysis and design solution, including a state-of-the-art user interface, visualization tools, and integrated design codes. And it's also capable of analyzing any structure that is exposed to static dynamic loading, wind, earthquake, and moving loads. So it was actually developed by Research Engineers International, that is set in Yorba Linda in California, USA. And in late 2005, REI was acquired by Bentley. So from 2005, it's Bentley's product. And the latest version we are using, that is the STAAD.Pro Connect Edition V22. So the last release build is 22.01.00.39. So that is the last release build available in our student server. You will be finding that version as well. So you might be using STAAD.Pro Select Series 5 or Select Series 6 maybe in your colleges, so that you are far behind which we are delivering to our customers right now. So why STAAD.Pro? The first question comes into mind, why you are using STAAD.Pro. Basically, the first reason you should be using STAAD.Pro is the extremely user-friendly structural modeling environment, and it can easily accommodate the design and loading requirements. It has some advanced analysis capabilities, including linear elastic response spectrum, time history, and different kind of loading. And it also supports multi-material design codes such as timber, steel, cold-formed steel, concrete, and aluminum. Also, the flexibility to change or add the data through the input editor is the main USP of STAAD.Pro. So you must be using the input editor of STAAD.Pro. So that is the main powerful feature of STAAD.Pro, which none of our competitors are having. Obviously, STAAD.Pro eliminates the countless man-hours required to properly load your structure. And the data input is really quick through the property sheets and the spreadsheets. And it's pretty handy. You can easily input any kind of data into STAAD.Pro. Also, there are some easily available customizable structural templates for creating model, and we support truss and beam members, plate solids, and linear and non-linear cables. We use both the metric and SI unit, so you can choose your unit accordingly. Obviously, we support different kind of loading requirements, and we support isometric and perspective view and 3D shapes as well. We can view a model accordingly. There are some other salient features which we cover in STAAD.Pro Advanced. So it comes like advanced solver, advanced measure, master slave, and rigid diaphragm. It also supports section wizard, OpenSTAAD, structural wizard, interoperability and integration with other softwares, detailed analysis and design reporting, and also the broad spectrum of international design codes. If we come to the design section, so for the concrete design, we support the IS 456, that is the Indian Concrete Code. Also, we support IS 13920 for the ductile design. And the latest STAAD.Pro release, we have also included the latest release IS 13920 2016 as well. We also support design of concrete beam, column, and slabs as per different other country codes, just like ACI 318, that is for the American Concrete Code. Other codes also include British, Canadian, French, German, Spanish, Scandinavian, Japanese, Chinese, Australian, South African, etc. We design circular and rectangular section, and we also view the complete reinforcement detailing as well. For the steel design, we support IS 800, both the 1984 and the 2007 limit state and working state design. Also, we support IS 801 and 802 for the cold form steel design. And this IS 801 has been revamped and it has been reintroduced with this last release version. We also support standard steel sections, and we support multi-country specific design codes like EIC ASD, that is the American Steel Design Code, also the British Code, European Code, Canadian Code, Australian Code, API, SNCC, NORSOC, SAMS. So different country codes we are supporting in STAAD.Pro because STAAD.Pro is a global product and it has a global presence all across the world. So in different regions of the world, they are using different country codes. We support those codes. We support different shapes of steel sections, and that includes I-beams with or without cover plates, channels, angles, double angle, double channel, pipe, and tube. We do the code checking, we do the member selection consisting of the analysis and design cycles for optimization of the design section. So in steel design, we do provide brief reporting as well as the detailed reporting as well. For the timber design, we support the US, European, and the Canadian code. And for the aluminum design, we are supporting the US design code only. So this is the startup page of STAAD.Pro Connect Edition. So if you are familiar with the earlier versions of STAAD.Pro, like the STAAD.Pro SS5 and SS6, so you can see from this snapshot that it's quite different from the earlier versions of STAAD.Pro SS6 or SS5. It's a whole lot of new thing you have to learn. So if you are knowing about STAAD.Pro Connect Edition and STAAD.Pro SS6 or SS5, so you can see this version numbers. So after the STAAD.Pro Select Series 6 last version, that is 20.07.11.90. So that was the last release version of STAAD.Pro SS6. So after that, we have already released 6 versions of STAAD.Pro Connect Edition. So if you are using SS6, so you are 6 releases behind. So I would also request each of every one of the students, whoever are using this STAAD.Pro in your colleges, please upgrade to the Connect Edition to get all the latest features, which I will be covering for my next 2 slides. So you can see a good number of features have been included in this STAAD.Pro Connect Edition start 6 releases. The first option comes the new user interface, then the new input editor and the output viewer. We have introduced the physical modeling. We have introduced a 64-bit solver. We have also integrated new design codes, some new section database, RAM connection, updated version of RAM connection, then the Connect Advisor, STAAD Foundation Advanced, interoperability with ISM, update service, integration with RCDC, integration with Steel Auto-Rupture Building Planner, and then the final thing is Connect licensing. So I will come into these features one by one in my next slides. So the first option is a new workflow style layout. So the context-sensitive ribbon-based UI is now an office standard with applications like MS Word, Excel, Bentley softwares like MicroStation and AutoPipe. So this is an industry standard now. It looks pretty useful, it's pretty handy, it looks beautiful. Icons are really easy to understand from the different symbols. You can easily understand what to do. So if you remember the early SSL versions, so those options were really a dull kind of thing. So we have come across different investigations and we have come across this solution for the users and for the students. So right now the workflows are spread across the horizon, I mean, the vertical, and the layouts of the workflow has also some options in the horizontal workflow as well. You can see there are two options. Either you can go from the horizontal or from the vertical. And the main menus are in the ribbon. So it looks like Microsoft Word. If you are using MS Word, MS Excel, the Microsoft Office features, so you will be familiar with this ribbon, this menu. Next comes the new IntelliSense input editor and the output viewer. So it's actually added in the later versions of SS6, but it's actually a lot more revamped in the Connect edition. And it's pretty intelligent. I mean, the feature we call intelligence because it's pretty intelligent. So, I mean, if you're writing anything in the input editor, just like the third point, the database integration. So, if you're trying to write any section, any kind of section like Indian section, American section, if you're trying to write something, type something in the section, I mean, in the input editor, so actually it will guess what you're trying to write. So you don't need to remember the name of the section anymore. So if you're choosing an Indian section, it will actually show you the options available. So you can choose from that option easily. Also, the help is integrated, the data aggregation is in, and it has snippets as well. So you can drag and drop from anywhere of your input to any below segment or upper segment of the input editor. And it also has the contents. So suppose if you're dealing with a big file, which is a large input, and it has different segments, you can quickly jump into the segment just by double clicking on the on that particular item inside the contents list. So that option is really helpful, and that's also true for the output editor as well. So if your file is large, so that means your output viewer will all your ML file will also be large. So you don't need to scroll down to the bottom to the 200 pages to 500 pages. You don't need to scroll down manually. You can directly go into that detail just by clicking on that particular item in the contents. That's pretty useful. Next comes the really interesting feature and the future of STAAD.Pro is the physical modeling. So the more engineers are looking to have the analysis part of an engineering workflow working with a physical model that can be easily shared, and it's becoming more important. And with STAAD.Pro Connect Edition, that can now be the primary model, and that can be automatically decomposed and managed into the analytical parts, including the segmented beams and surfaces. Suppose you are creating a physical member, a physical model, STAAD.Pro physical modeling, and you can directly go into the analytical modeling and it would actually split your members, your continuous members into the analytical members. So it could be easily analyzed and you can put your loads on the physical member itself in the physical modeling. You don't need to break break your physical member into the different parts in the physical modeling. You can directly put the load on the entire structure in the physical modeling. And this physical modeling is becoming more and more popular. It has some useful features. So in the future, so it's basically the future of STAAD.Pro. So we are revamping the STAAD.Pro. So in future, the physical modeling will be the main modeling tool for the STAAD.Pro. So it's pretty wonderful thing, and it's pretty useful. It's pretty wonderfully connected through ISM, through the other softwares. I will come to the slide later. The physical modeling is becoming more and more popular. So when will be learning the STAAD.Pro Connect edition, so you will be learning the physical modeling approach as well. So it's pretty useful thing. And right now, the physical modeling also includes the dynamic loading definition and dynamic load cases. So in our earlier releases, it didn't include the dynamic loading. It only included the static loading. That means the dead load and live load. But with the last release, that is the 22.01.00.39, it also includes the dynamic loading. So that means you can include the seismic definition. You can put the response spectrum definition. You can put time history definition and the load cases. And when you import that model from physical to analytical, That detail gets imported successfully, and the loading generation is really fast. It's faster than the analytical modeling. It's a pretty wonderful thing. Next comes the 64-bit solver. So the heart of the STAAD.Pro is the analysis and design engine, which is now based on a 64-bit platform. So that means your existing STAAD.Pro Connect Edition is itself a 64-bit software. That means this Connect Edition will only run in 64-bit machines. It will not run in 32-bit OS. Okay, and also the analysis engine inside STAAD.Pro is now 64-bit. That means the larger models will be running much more faster and much more ease. So this slide, you can see a brief comparison for the analysis time in between Select Series 6 and the Connect Edition. You can see some different file names. It's taken from different users, some commercial users. So you can see the percentage of improvement in the last column. So you can see more large is the file and more is the improvement. So on average, STAAD.Pro Connect Edition is almost 1.5 times faster than the STAAD.Pro V8X. So basically, and earlier it was happening that even if you are having a multi-core machines, the STAAD.Pro Select Series 6 or Select Series 5 was using only the single core of your machine, even if you are having multi-cores available for the analysis. But right now, the STAAD.Pro Connect Edition is a 64-bit solver, so it's capable of using multi-cores of your existing computer. So if your multi-cores are available for that particular time, so it will actually utilize multi-core. So it will actually run your model much more faster. That is the main philosophy you have included in the STAAD.Pro. So in the last 6 Connect Edition releases, we have included different design codes. First, we have included the AISC 36016, that is the American Steel code, the latest version. Also, the ACI 318 2014, that is the American Concrete code. We have included the New Zealand code, the NBCC 2010, that is the Canadian Seismic code, Russian wind load, Australian 4100, that's the steel code. The major update for the Indian users is the IS 1893 2016, that is the latest seismic code, static seismic and response spectrum. Also, the irregularity check has also been included. Similarly, for the ASC07, that is for the American code, similarly static seismic and response spectrum, IBC 2018 static seismic and response spectrum. Then comes the IS 13920 2016, that is for the ductile design, and it also actually does the design for you for the beams. It supports prismatic and T, and for the columns it supports only the prismatic as of now. And also the revamped IS 801 for the cold form steel design code has been included. So you can see the list is a bit large. So these all things have been included in STAAD.Pro Connect Edition in this last 6 releases. So earlier it had a conception for the STAAD.Pro SS6 or SS5. So it had some options of choosing some different code packs, which country codes, Indian code pack or European code pack or American code pack. So right now we have excluded that option. So right now all the design codes are included in the STAAD.Pro Connect Edition. That means you can design your model including any design codes. Obviously, the nuclear codes are not included because nuclear codes are meant only for the nuclear customers, which are located in US. So they are building some nuclear reactors, so they only will be able to use the nuclear codes. So except for the nuclear codes, all the design codes are available for our existing users. So that's a pretty wonderful thing. So users can easily choose any of the country codes and they can design. Inclusion of some section database. So you can see this APL Apollo. This section profile has been included. So it's basically APL Apollo is a company just like the Tata Structures and the Jindal Steel. So it's basically a section database, and they are famous for the building the pipe kind of section. So in this APL Apollo, you can see RHS, SHS, and CHS sections have been included. So you can use this kind of APL Apollo sections for designing a structure. Next comes the inclusion of RAM connection workflow. So the RAM connection is for the connection design. So in your steel structure, if you're going for the shear connection or moment connection design, so you can use the RAM connection. So the RAM connection is actually included. So RAM connection is basically a standalone product as well from the Bentley, but a particular module has also been included inside STAAD.Pro. So you can use the RAM connection to design for the shear connection, moment connection, cassette plate, base plate. These are different connection types of connection design you can do. So the RAM connection team has released their last release build. That is the version 13. So that version has been included in the STAAD.Pro Connect Edition last release build, and it also includes the IS 800 2007 and the Australian steel code as well. So that means you can design your connection using IS 800 2007. That's a pretty useful thing for our users. So this RAM connection supports different kind of design codes. It supports AIC, AIC 341, European code, Chinese code, British, Indian, and Australian. So different kind of country codes they are supporting. And you can use RAM connection in two modes. So if you're having a RAM connection license, so you can use the standalone mode as well, or also you can use from integrate with STAAD.Pro as well. The Connect Advisor. So the Connect Advisor you can use is basically just like the Google of your product. So suppose you are using something. So if you're searching for any kind of so if you're searching for anything, any kind of help in your structure, so you can quickly go into the Connect Advisor. You can search anything, and it will actually show you some detailed things of your product. So it's basically Google of your existing Bentley product. Also, the STAAD Foundation Advanced is also included in the STAAD.Pro. So it's for the foundation design. So you can use STAAD.Pro license or the STAAD Foundation Advanced license to use the STAAD.Pro. I mean, for the STAAD.Pro STAAD Foundation Advanced. So if you're having the STAAD.Pro license, you can use some basic foundation design like isolated pile cap and combined footing. But if you're having STAAD Foundation Advanced license, so you can do this kind of foundation design. So all kind of foundation design you can do. So you can see, and also some upcoming foundation design solutions. I will be skipping this part, and also the interoperability with ISM. So ISM is a free product provided by the Bentley, so you can connect with other third-party products with STAAD.Pro using ISM. So if you are using, say, Revit or AutoCAD, so using that AutoCAD model, you can directly using ISM, you can import that model to STAAD.Pro to create your own structure. You can see these products are really connected to ISM. It's pretty wonderful thing. And this update service, so whenever you will be updating to this connectivity, we will be seeing this another additional item STAAD.Pro with STAAD.Pro will be installed. That is the connection client. So this connection client is basically a pretty wonderful thing. So whenever you are installing this version, whenever the new versions are published and available on the fulfillment center, the connection client will notify you and provide you a simple one-click solution for the downloading and upgrading the version. You don't need to download the full version and install it anymore. So it actually works like a mobile update just on your smartphones. Also, STAAD.Pro is connected with RCDC for the concrete design. It's a wonderful product. Right now, it's integrated. Steel Autoraptor, it's a pretty wonderful workflow for the creating the GA drawing from the STAAD model, and you can save your drawing to the DXF format as well. And it supports the physical modeling as well. And next to the Connect licensing, it's let me skip this part because it's not pretty handy for you, because I mean right now the licensing system has been changed quite a bit, so I'm skipping this part. Also, STAAD.Pro has its presence in the cloud as well, so you can analyze your model and can compare those details in the cloud as well. So it's pretty wonderful thing for the cloud data. So some case studies. This you can you'll be familiar with this Buddha statue. So our client has used STAAD.Pro to analyze the largest Buddha statue in the world and one of the largest. So the solution was running in the old solver in STAAD.Pro and RAM elements. It took almost 11 hours. However, with the new advanced solver, it took just a little over 3 minutes. So it's pretty wonderful thing. Okay. So before going into the session, before going into the STAAD.Pro live demonstration, hope you are already familiar with the IS1893 seismic code. So as your problem statement actually includes the seismic part, so let me just quickly show you some basic features of the STAAD.Pro, this connectivity, which features have been included for the IS1893 Part 1 2016. So if you are familiar with the new code, so if you're going to the code, so the first point comes the equivalent static analysis with the new response spectrum data has been included. So right now your code supports two different graphs for the static seismic and the response spectrum. So STAAD.Pro also supports that, and it also includes a 5% damping and some new time period calculation as per page 30. Also, some new revamped R factors has been included as per clause 7.2.6, that is from the table 9. So all those options have been included in STAAD.Pro Connect Edition. So if you are going into the code, you can see all these options have been included. All these options have been included. So the computation of time period data with structural world data. So right now STAAD.Pro has been incorporated with those details. So if you are having a structural wall in your model, you can see this part of the equivalent static analysis. So you can see for this, if your structure is having wall, so you can define your structural wall, and STAAD.Pro will be having that option as well. So you can define the structural wall, and you can compute the data as well. It also supports the vertical motion considerations as per page 14. It also supports the minimum base shear criteria as per table 7. So it also reports that. Consideration of inertia forces of the structure below and above the ground level. So if your structure is has some portion below the ground level, so the coefficient of the horizontal, it actually interpolates in between the 30 meter and the ground level as per the code. So if you are going into the code, so it actually says you this part. You can see from the clause 6.4.5 for the underground structure. So it will actually interpolate the age and the point in between 0.5 age. So STAAD actually also includes this portion as well. Also, the soft story check has been included, and the computation of vertical earthquake as per clause 6.3.3.1 page 8 has been included as well. Also, our code says as per clause 6.4.3.1, there is for the structural analysis, the moment of inertia shall be taken for the concrete structure and the masonry structure for the column 70% of the moment of inertia and 35% of the beams, and for the steel full should be taken. So this part has also been included in the STAAD.Pro Connect edition. So it's a pretty wonderful thing. Each and every additional clause which have been included in in ISO 1893 2016, all of those have been included in STAAD.Pro Connect edition using the ISO 1893 2016. So it's pretty useful thing. So let me just quickly open the STAAD.Pro Connect edition. So this is basically the user interface of STAAD.Pro Connect edition. So it's pretty different from which you have seen in your STAAD.Pro SS6 or SS5 maybe. So it has some useful options here. So if you are in the open page, so you can see there are three options here: sample models, verification models, and open other models. So in earlier state, we used to have only one options, but right now we have segregated our sample and the verification models from the other models as well. You can directly jump into the sample and verification from here. So in the configure option, you can choose your unit system as English or metric. You can choose your global access to YAP or ZAP. You can also choose your theme color. So it's pretty cool thing we have included. You can choose your theme like this: colorful blue, green, dark gray, this kind of thing you can choose. Okay, and there's some different options which you can use from here. So here, if I click on a new option, so under the new options, if seeing that there are three options available. So by three way you can create your structure. So in the presentation I have mentioned that you can also create a new physical model as well. So this comes the second mod option. But in the presentation and in the problem statement, we will stick into the analytical part only. So I will not go into the physical or building option. So let me just quickly tell you what will happen. So if you click on this physical option, so new interface will be popping up to create a physical model, and after creating after putting the details, you can directly go into the analytical model. And similarly for the building option, STAAD.Pro has a software included in itself that is called the building planner. The building planner is basically the STAAD.Pro integrated. So if you choose a building planner option, then it will actually ask you to import any DXF file, any drawing file, so including in a plan file. So including a building plan, a floor plan, you can quickly create a building using the building planner. So that is for the building option. So for the slender building, for the quick creation of slender building kind of thing, you can choose the building planner. But in our problem statement, we will do the same thing using STAAD.Pro analytical model as well. So now if you click on the analytical, so it will actually create the analytical model for you. And you can choose the unit system from here. You can choose English or metric from here. And you can put your file name like this. So let me put the file name like test1 maybe, and you can put your location like this. You can choose your location from, you can browse the location from here. And now if you click on create, so your STAAD.Pro dialog box will be popping up. So now if you are familiar with the STAAD.Pro Connect edition or maybe STAAD.Pro SS6, you can see this all of these menus, these horizontal options remain same. You can see these options were also present in the STAAD.Pro SS6 as well. So nothing has been changed here. So only these new options are this vertical workflow menu. So all the different modules of STAAD.Pro Connect Edition has been tiled up here. You can see this physical modeling. You can see the foundation design, steel auto drafter, connection design for the RAM connection, RCDC for the advanced concrete design. These options have been tiled up in the vertical manner. So you can quickly jump into those modules from here. And the main menus are from here. These are basically the ribbon based menu. So you can quickly go into this menu from clicking here. And you can see it looks pretty wonderful. The icons are really expressive. You can understand which action you're trying to do. But the main thing is if you're taking time to getting habituated with this option, you can also do the searching for it. Suppose you are searching for anything like I will go for structural wizard. So you can also see the structural wizard under geometry. But suppose you're not able to find, so you can quickly go into from here. The structural wizard will be opening up. So it's pretty handy thing for you. So by searching the options, you can quickly jump into the option. And next comes the view. So under the geometry, all the options are here, just like creating a model, structure wizard, uh, add a beam, add a plate, add a solid. All the options are here. And also the same similar kind of thing, translation repeat, circular repeat, mirrors, all of the options are same, only the icons have been changed a bit. Then comes the view. So the view menu has been revamped to show all the view options here. We can show different kind of view from here. Under the select, we have all the possible cursors you can have to select your module. You can choose the entire model, you can choose a particular entity like a node, a beam, a solid, a plate, using that all of those cursors. Then comes the specification. You can put the member specification, node specification, plate thickness, different kind of things from here. Then comes the loading part. So you can see the loading, the load cases, the combination, the load items, the load definitions you can put from here. Then comes the analysis and design. So you can put the analysis comments, and it supports the different design codes. You can see from the different design, you can put your design codes from here. So it all actually remains same if you are familiar with the earlier versions of STAAD.Pro. So this all the options are remain same. Only this ribbon-based options have been included. Okay. And next come the utilities. So inside the utilities, this input and output have been included. So the command file, this is basically the input editor, and next comes the analysis output. And next, the different kind of things have been included here. Different kind of options have been included here. So you can quickly go through those details. Okay. So if I go to the problem statement, which Shreya has already shared with you. The problem statement is actually, so I will try to follow the exact problem statement which has been mentioned here. So it's basically G+6 building, total of 6 stories plus basement. So it will be a total 7 of stories. In STAAD.Pro, including a staircase design rod equipped with an area floor 1,000 square meters per floor. So it will be actually basically a G+7 building, and we'll be assigning the materials, we'll be assigning the sections, and then we'll be coming to the parts tomorrow and day after tomorrow. So first we will be creating a big model that will be the G+7 structure, and our floor area for each floor will be 1,000 square meter. So suppose if my building length is 40 meter and the building width is 25 meters, so that means I'm getting the 1,000 square meter for the each floor, right? So you can choose that, and it's a commercial building, so we can put the floor height as 3 meter. So my length of the building can be 40 meters, my width can be 25 meters, and my height can be 7 into 3, 21 meters. So to create a building kind of structure, either you can create like that, like choosing a beam grid, but it's a big building. So it's a G+7, so lots of beams, lots of columns are there. So if you choose by creating a grid, so you have to perform translation and repeat, and if you're doing this thing, so it will be kind of tiresome for you. So instead of doing this grid option in STAAD.Pro, we have an option called structural wizard. It actually consists of readily available customizable structural templates. So if we go to the structural wizard, you'll be seeing there are different options. So inside the model type, you can see there are option called frame models. So if you choose the frame models, so inside the frame models, you can see the first option, bay frame. So bay frame, it looks like a building structure, right? So if I click on the bay frame, so it will actually allow me to input the length, height, and width, and also the number of bays along length, height, and width. So let me quickly put the length as 40, height as 21, and width as 25. And the number of bay, let me put 5 here, 7 here, and same 5 here. So along the length, 40 meters and 5 bays, that means that each bay length will be 8 meters. Along the height, 7 bays, total 21 meters, and the width 25 meters, and number of bays is 5, so that means the bay length will be 5 meters each. So now if I click on apply after putting these details, and you can also choose a name as well, bay frame, or say building frame, as per your choice. So you can see the building structure has been created, but it has been created in structural wizard. So structural wizard, it's basically a different module that is integrated in STAAD.Pro. So in order to have this data in STAAD.Pro, we have to import this structural wizard data in the STAAD.Pro. So either you can go to the file option from the structural wizard dialog box, and you can choose the option merge model with the STAAD.Pro model. You can choose this option, else you can directly try to close this option and it will actually give you the option. Would you like to transfer merge this prototype into the STAAD.Pro? I will click on yes, and it will actually give you an option. So it will actually, the program doesn't understand that whether you have some existing data in your STAAD.Pro model or not. I mean, the program doesn't know whether your model is blank or your model has any nodes, any beams. So it will actually ask you that if you are having a node in the structure, so in which direction, in which on based on which nodes it actually create that structure. So my model is blank, and I'm creating the model from the axis, from the origin 0, 0, 0. So I'll be choosing the second option, and if I click on OK, so you can see my building has been created. So you can see how easily I have created the building for you. So it's basically a G+7 building with 1,000 square meter area for each floor. It has been created. So this is the usefulness of structural wizard, using which you can quickly create any kind of building structure, any kind of complex structure within few minutes. So my first step has been created. So I have created a building, and my next step will be, as per the problem statement, provide a space for the staircase. So I have to provide a space for the staircase here. So how to do that? So obviously you can see along the length I can put the staircase like that, or along the width I can put. So you can see there are 5 bays. So let me put a staircase in between. So I can choose this bay or this bay to put the staircase. I can do that, or as per your choice. I mean, I'm just showing an option how to do this project. So let me choose this particular bay to create a space for the staircase. Okay, so to do that, I can have the view option. You can see view from positive y. So here I can choose these two members from. So I am viewing this structure from the positive y direction, positive y axis. So right now, if I go into the isometric view, if I go into the isometric view, so I can see all these beams have been selected. So in order to create a space for the staircase, I need to omit these beams to create a space for the structure, for the staircase. You can see from the structure it has been created. So I can create a new view for this just by right clicking. You can see a new view has been created here. So how to do that, let me just quickly show you once more time, for the one more time. So what I did, I went to view, I went for this option top view from positive y direction, and I chose this two beams because I will create a space here. So from the top you are seeing the structure. So now if you're going to the isometric view, so you can see these beams have been selected to create a space for the staircase. So now right click and I'm going to the new view option. So create a new view for the window. So new view has been created here. So I have to delete all these beams. So let me select all the beams by here, or I can choose Control A from here to choose all the beams, and I press delete from my keyboard. So 14 beams associated will be deleted. So you can see all the beams have been deleted, but the nodes will be there because the columns are there. So nodes will be there. Okay. So right now you can see the structure. So you can see the structure from this angle. So your modeling has been created. So the space for the staircase has been provided successfully. So as per the problem statement, this part has been done. So now I will cover the second part here till today. So in the second part, I will be assigning supports first. So we'll be assigning fixed support here. Okay, so we'll be assigning fixed support here. So let me just quickly use the view option from here. So suppose I have to assign the supports on each of these bottom nodes. So how to choose all the bottom nodes in a single go? So obviously I will be using the power of the view menu here. So if I choose this option, say view from Z, or say view from X, and then if I choose the drag option to choose all these nodes, so it will be selected. But you can see this have not been selected. Why? Because I have not activated the node cursor yet. So remember in STAAD.Pro the default cursor is the beam cursor. You have to activate the node cursor from here. So if you right click on the window and choose a select cursor, then you can choose the node cursor. So by this you can select the nodes like this. So first let me just create the support and then I will assign. So I'm in the geometry, so I'm quickly going into the supports here. You can see whenever I went to the support tab, automatically the node cursor is activated. So it's pretty wonderful thing. It's smart because STAAD.Pro understands that you are going to create a node here. I mean, you are going to create support and you are going to assign that later on. So it actually automatically activated the node cursor for you. So right now, if I go to create a support for you, so inside support, so if you're using stat process 6, you're familiar. So what I would have done in the stat process 6, I would have clicked this option to create a fixed support here. In Connect Edition, you can do this option, else you can go into the ribbon based menu control and you can choose fixed. So this will actually do the same thing for you. So fixed, and I click on add support. Once support has been added here, And similarly, right now, I will be choosing all of these nodes. You can see in a single go, all the nodes have been selected. I mean, you can cross check from here. You can go to the view option and you can select the isometric view. You can see all the bottom nodes have been selected, and the support 2 is already highlighted. And for the assignment method, you're familiar that we have four options: assign to selected nodes, assign to view, use cursor to assign, and assign to edit list. So right now, I will choose the first option because I don't know the node numbers and I don't want to assign the nodes to all of the nodes. So I will choose the first option. I will click on assign. I will click on yes. You can see the nodes, the bottom nodes have been assigned with fixed support. It's pretty easy thing. You can see the pretty easy thing which have been done using the supports. So right now my model has the data with the nodes, the beams, and the supports. So what next? Next we'll be assigning properties to the structure. So I will do assign some sections here. So it may consist both the concrete and the steel in a single model. So let me assign a concrete in the columns and the steel in the beams. So how to do that? So in the properties, I will go to the properties, and first I will add a steel section. So I can go to the section database from here, and I can go to the Indian, and I can add, say, ISMB 600. Click on add. So ISMB 600 section has been added, and it will be assigned to the beams. Similarly, let me quickly create a concrete section. So I will go to define here. So I will create a rectangle section, say 500 meter by 500 meter. So you can see a steel section and a concrete section have been added. So next we'll be assigning. So first let me assign this concrete section to the columns. So how to do that? How to select all the columns in a single go? So obviously remember that we have an option menu called select. Let me quickly go into the select, and in the select you can see there are multiple options. The beam cursor, so if I choose the beam cursor, so only one member will be selected, but we want to select all the beams. That means all the beams along the y direction. So how to do that? So inside the beams, you can see inside the beams there is an option parallel to x, y, and z. So if you choose under the parallel, if you choose parallel to y, so you can see all the beams along the y have been selected in a single go. And right now, the assignment method, the first option is already selected, assign to selected beams. I click on assign, click on yes. You can see this section, the rectangular section, concrete section has been assigned to all the columns. Similarly, I will choose the first option, the ISMB 600 steel section. I will again go to the selection cursor, and I will go to the select menu, and I can choose select parallel to X and select parallel to Z as well. So my beams are aligned to the X and Z direction. So after choosing the X and Z, you can see the assignment method is already selected, assigned to selected beams. And right now, if I click on assign, yes, that means my section has been assigned to the beams as well. So right now, after assigning, if I go to the input editor, suppose under the utilities, I go to the command file. Command file is for the input editor. So I want to save my structure. So this is how my input editor looks like. You can see the joint coordinates here, and you can see the member incidences here has been added. And similarly, you can see the two types of materials have been defined here, steel and concrete. And the member property Indian, ISML 600 have been assigned, and the prismatic. You can see the material concrete and the material steel have been assigned to different structures. So right now you can see these contents which I have mentioned during the presentation. So if you want to jump into any particular option, any particular segment, so you can quickly go into that option. You can see member incidences, member property. So you are quickly going into the detail just by double clicking on that option. It's pretty wonderful thing. And I've told you that suppose a section I want to write, you can see this section names are getting displayed here. So it's pretty wonderful thing which I've mentioned you. It's basically intelligent. So it's, and you can see the section types of all the available section types. All the available section types are available here. It's pretty useful thing for you. You can choose any kind of section from here. It's pretty good thing. So this is basically the modeling part of your problem statement. So I think we conclude here today. So basically we have covered this part 1 and 2.